I was married to my husband for 16 years. I thought I knew everything about him. Then one night, a woman knocked on my door and said something I will never forget. I think we're married to the same man. At first, I thought she was mistaken, but an hour later, I learned a shocking truth. I was married to my husband for 16 years. 16 years. And for most of that time, I honestly believed I knew everything about him. We had 2 kids, a quiet little house in the suburbs, the kind of life that looks completely normal from the outside, the kind of life where nothing dramatic ever seems to happen. School runs, grocery shopping, weekend barbecues, that kind of thing. Daniel worked as a regional sales manager, which meant he traveled a lot. Phoenix, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City. Sometimes he'd be gone for 3 days, sometimes an entire week. But every single time he packed his bag and left, he would smile at me and say the same thing. I'm doing this for our family. And I believed him for 16 years. Looking back now, there were small things that should have seemed strange. Daniel had a second phone. He always said it was his work phone. Sometimes he would disappear on weekends because of urgent meetings. At the time, I didn't question it. I trusted him completely. Then that evening happened. It was around 7:30 at night when someone knocked on the door. I opened it and saw a woman standing there. She looked tired and very nervous. Next to her stood a teenage boy, maybe 14 years old. She looked at me carefully and asked, "Does Daniel live here?" The moment she said his name, my heart started beating faster. I asked her who she was, but instead of answering, she asked me something else. "Are you his wife?" I said yes. She took a deep breath, like she was preparing herself to say something difficult. Then she said quietly, "Then we need to talk." Her name was Rachel. We sat down at my kitchen table. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. And then she told me something that sounded completely impossible. She said she had been living with Daniel for almost 15 years. At first, I honestly thought she must be mistaken. Maybe there was another Daniel with the same last name. But then she took out her phone and started showing me photos, vacations, birthdays, Christmas mornings, all of them with Daniel. Then she pointed toward the boy. "This is Lucas," she said. "He's 14, and Daniel is his father." My hands started shaking because Lucas was 14 years old. And 14 years ago was exactly when Daniel suddenly started traveling a lot more for work. That's when it hit me. All those business trips, all those conferences. My husband wasn't traveling for work. He was traveling between 2 families. Then Rachel told me how she discovered that I even existed. One evening, Daniel went to take a shower, and he accidentally left his second phone on the table. He forgot to turn it off. A few minutes later, a message appeared on the screen. Rachel assumed it was something from work, but something caught her eye. There were heart emojis in the message. That didn't look like a work conversation, so she looked a little closer, and that's when she saw the name attached to the message. It was me. She said the moment she saw that, her stomach dropped, because Daniel had always told her he was divorced. The next morning, she hired a private investigator. A few days later, the investigator came back with answers. He showed her photos, explained that Daniel had another family, and finally, he gave her my address. Rachel told me she spent several days just thinking about what to do. Part of her wanted to pretend none of it was real, to ignore the message and go back to her life. but another part of her needed to know the truth. So she bought a plane ticket and flew to Denver with her son just to knock on my door after she finished telling me all of this. The house was completely silent. I called Daniel immediately. I told him to come home right now. About an hour later, he walked through the front door. Rachel and Lucas were waiting in another room. Daniel and I went into the kitchen. I looked straight at him and asked one simple question. "Who is Rachel?" He froze. You could see the panic on his face, like he was trying to figure out how much I already knew. And then, before he could answer, Rachel walked into the kitchen with Lucas. Daniel's face instantly turned pale. Rachel looked at him calmly and said, "Do you want to explain this to your wives?" For almost a full minute, nobody said a word. Then Daniel slowly sat down and finally admitted the truth. For almost 15 years, he had been living two completely different lives, two families, two homes, two completely different stories. When he was with me, he said he was traveling for work. When he was with Rachel, he said the exact same thing, and somehow he managed to keep that lie going for 15 years. After that night, everything fell apart. Rachel left him. I filed for divorce a few weeks later. The strange thing is, Rachel and I still talk sometimes, because eventually we realized something. We were never enemies. We were just two people who had been lied to by the same man. But there's still one thing I can't fully understand. How can someone live a double life for 15 years without anyone noticing? And can you ever truly know the person you've been living with for that long? I'm honestly really curious what you think about this story.